Oi folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zugs. So we're carrying on with our 2026 update to all of the guides, and we are back on the Hive Scum. And this one is a melee build, so let's jump in and see what we are using. So for our melee weapon, we are using the Shivs, the Mark 1s. Our modifiers are as such: damage, first target, finesse, and penetration, lol, at 80, and mobility is our dump. Perk-wise, we were going with 5% melee crit chance and 25% damage to carapace armored enemies. Blessings-wise, we were going with Flesh Terror, 8 bleed stacks on critical hit, and Uncanny Strikes, which gives us 8% rending on enemy weak spot hit for 3.5 seconds, stacking 5 times. Then we're going with the Needle Pistol. This is the Mark II. Modifiers are damage, ammo, stability, and stopping power, and mobility is our dump. Perks, we're going with Flak and Unyielding because Flak is the most prevalent armor type in the game, and Unyieldings because we can do some disgusting damage to any target with this thing, to be honest. The Needle Pistol is just insanely overpowered. Blessing-wise, we're going with Hot Shot, which gives us weak spot hits, gain 50% cleave, and Point Blank, 20% range critical chance after melee kill for 3.5 seconds. As this is a very switchy build, you will be jumping between the two. Mostly you will be in melee, but occasionally you will have to jump out of melee and lay down some shots into harder targets that you can't quite deal with. But as I said, mag dumping the Needle Pistol into something basically guarantees that it will die. You can see the damage dropping off slightly, but even then, it's still going to drop a crusher. And the difference between the two: yellow is just dot damage, blue is explosive. Let's go for 2. There you go, it's explosive, and then it spreads to other targets. Usually you would be sticking on yellow, but if there's a big group of like poxwalkers, you can just dump a couple of shots into them and then just watch the group kind of explode. And you'll be spreading that chem tox all around. So, very good weapon. Next up, we've got the Curios. We've got a max stamina and 2 toughness. They're all the same, with toughness, stamina regen, and damage resistance to gunners. If you don't want the stamina Curio, you can go for a max health or another toughness Curio. Also, you can dump out the stamina regen if you really want to, though I would suggest not, because the Hive Scum really does benefit from having massively high stamina and the ability to regen it very, very quickly, because you will be dodging, ducking, diving, and all that sort of thing on this class. But you don't have to go for the +3 stamina if you don't want to. You can just change that to a toughness or a max health Curio. It's just going to make survivability a little... it adds in basically flat defense, but it makes your active defense of dodging a bit more difficult, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's the gear. Let's take a look at the talents. So as this is a melee focused build, we will be going for mostly melee things. A Tertiary Welcome plus 15% melee damage on first enemy hit with each attack. Precision Violence, melee hits replenish 4% toughness, melee critical strikes on weak spot hits instead replenish 8, and critical weak spot strikes replenish 12. Float Like a Butterfly, perfect blocks and successful dodges grant 20% critical strike chance for 3 seconds. Into Burst of Energy, gain stun immunity for 6 seconds and restore 50% toughness when toughness is broken. It's a 10-second cooldown. Into Toughness Boost, and we're taking the Chem Grenade because this is a chem build, and this is going to basically buff us massively. Down into Gang Tough, 10% range damage and 10% toughness damage reduction. Into Nimble, dodge speed is increased by 25%, and time considered dodging is increased by 0.15 seconds. Into Tis But a Scratch, replenish 30% toughness over 3 seconds after taking range toughness damage. Losing all toughness cancels the effect. Anarchist at 5% critical chance for unit allies in coherency, down into Toughness Boost, and then we're going to be taking Rampage. Replenish all toughness and enter Rampage for 10 seconds. For the duration, gain 50% melee power, 20% melee attack speed, and 25% damage reduction. as well as becoming stun immune and suppression immune. Melee strikes extend the duration by 0.3 seconds, and after 20, the duration extension granted by each hit is reduced. Then from the tertiary abilities, we're taking Boiling Blood. Melee strikes against elites and monstrosities extend the duration of rampage by 1 second. Additionally, the time before extending becomes diminished now is 30 seconds. Pulverizing strikes plus 50% cleave while rampage is active. Additionally, gain 2.5% melee power for every second spent with the ability active up to 10 times. So these just make rampage just a hell of a lot better. But it does Forge's Bellow and Channeled Aggression. This doesn't stay up long enough to make it useful at all. And Forge's Bellow, it is good because it gives you, a knockback and staggers things, but we would have to take out something very important. We don't have the point really to be able to take Forge's Bellow and not kind of hamstring the build. We'll start over here on the left, Critical Strike Boost into Swift Endurance. 2% increased melee attack speed for each current stamina, again, which is why it's quite useful to have the stamina Curio. Then we'll go into the middle. We'll grab Punching Above One's Weight for 15% damage against elites and monstrosities into Hyper Violence. Kills grant 25% the difference between the damage dealt by your attack and the health of the killed enemy as melee damage for 1 second. I don't think this works kind of as it's supposed to. I don't think they've properly fixed it, but it's still quite good. Hive City Brawler. Up to 20% damage reduction depending on available stamina. Additionally, up to 20% melee damage depending on spent stamina. And then we're grabbing Battering Strikes. Melee kills grant 10% melee cleave for 5 seconds, stacking 5 times. This is incredibly good, especially when you're using the dual shivs, as they basically have no cleave. And with this, you're doing quite a bit of AoE damage with them. And then into our Keystone tree. Potent Tox for 10% Tox Strength. Then into Coated Weaponry. Melee critical strikes infect enemies with 1 stack of chem toxin. Extra pouches for 1 blitz charge into Toxic Mania. 5% base damage for each chem toxin infected enemy nearby, up to 15%. Toxic Renewal. Replenish 15% toughness when an enemy is infected by chem toxin is killed by melee attack. And then Sample Collector. Kills replenish 1% of your cartel special cooldown. Killing chem tox infected enemies instead replenishes 2%. And now for our Keystone. Chemical Dependency. Using a stim grants you a stack of dependency for 90 seconds. For each stack, you gain 10% ability cooldown reduction, up to 3 max stacks. Stacks decay 1 at a time. We're also taking Chem Endurance. Each stack of dependency additionally grants 5% critical hit chance. And last but not least, Chem Fortitude. Using a stim replenishes 50% toughness. Additionally, each stack of dependency grants 5% toughness damage reduction. And I'll actually remember to show you the stim lab this time, as I forgot to on the Desperado build. So this is kind of what we're going for. We're going for a 65-second cooldown. Even that's a little bit big with an 83% viscosity. Wildfire for strength. And then we've got Fury for strength and rending, and more strength and rending. Then down here, we're taking Spur for attack speed and weapon swap. It's mostly the attack speed and stamina cost down here that we want. But we're not taking one of these because it would make it the cooldown far too high. So with this build, it's pretty damn simple. You just want to keep stimming yourself to get stacks of the chem toxin. And as you do that, you will become a lot more powerful. And then you just pop Rampage when basically anything more than just a kind of a boring group comes towards you. And this will basically make you a killing machine. Pretty simple build to use. Gone over the needle pistol. Obviously, we've got the Chem Toxin Grenade, which is going to be increased by all of our Tox special abilities. Most important thing really is just to make sure to keep yourself stimmed. Now, it lasts for 90 seconds and your cooldown is 65, but you also have cooldown reduction through generally just attacking things. So it's not going to be quite 65 seconds. You'll probably be able to get it down to about between 45 and 50, depending on how effective you are at killing stuff. But there you go, folks. That is the Hive Scum melee build updated. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please do like and subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And I shall see you all for the next build. So until then, take it easy. I shall see you later.